faded,
Zoom, woke,
coyote,
cancel
ratchet,
culture,
non-binary,
bubble,
COVIDiot,
digital blackface.
long hauler.
Words change. They mutate, morph, change tense, change meaning, and new words are created. Old words fall out of usage. Expressions that everyone is using this week may very well fall out of favor in a month. And a paragraph that made perfect sense 5 years ago might sound really strange now. Journey Writers presents Word of the Month. Original poetry, prose, essays, and commentaries written by Journey Writers members exploring our ever-changing language.
The word of the month for this month is snap.
Snap. The stage burst into a kaleidoscope of light and sound as the band leader savagely snapped his guitar in 2 jagged pieces over his knee. A real shock jock Alice Cooper move for sure, if you ask me. I clapped and yelled along with the crowd. The old woman in the seat next to me took off her glasses, dropped them into her bag, and snapped it shut. She stood up, looked down at me, and snapped. Why do they have to be so loud? In my day, you could enjoy music, understand every word, and no one smashed their instruments. Now it's just noise and chaos. I looked up and asked, well, why are you here then? The noise and chaos are part of the fun. She shook her head, leaned down, and whispered, my grandson's the drummer. I love him to death, but I can't take another minute of this. Good night, young man. I watched her march up the aisle to the exit. The band started to play Wild Life, my favorite song. I snapped my head around to take it in and to check out the lady's grandson. He was working those drums like a pro. The guys, and they were all guys, pranced and danced on stage in their crazy-colored, snappy outfits, looking as wild as the song they were playing. I took out my phone, snapped a few pictures to show my friends, and then got to work. I'm an entertainment reporter for the local newspaper, and I'm on deadline to write an article on the concert. I took the iPad out of my backpack, but found it hard to focus on reviewing the band, the music, and the atmosphere while enjoying myself at the same time. I'm good at my job, so I buckled down and began taking notes. Thank heaven technology makes this type of reporting a snap. Before I knew it, the concert was over and the first draft of my article was done. I streamed out with the crowd. What to do now? Go home to the family and tuck in for the night, or head over to the Bucket and meet up with my buddies who would be downing a few after the basketball game at the Civic Center? I wavered back and forth for a hot minute and then made a snap judgment. A cold beer sounded just about right at this time of night. This is Beth Gibbs for Journey Writers' Word of the Month.
Snappy. Remember when you were a kid and you learned to tie your shoes, button your shirt, and zip your jacket? Along about that same time, you probably also learned how to snap. There used to be a toy that helped teach kids how to do all those things. Times were simpler then. Even so, learning all those skills probably didn't happen in a snap. They took some effort, but in the end, it was worth it. Those skills have probably come in useful as you've grown up. For instance, knowing how to unsnap your waistband at Thanksgiving can provide some needed relief after a big meal. Of course, if you're a snappy dresser, you probably don't do that. Instead, you probably snap the brim of your hat and pose for snapshots that can be posted on Snapchat. Then all your friends probably look at those photos and say things like, "Oh, snap!" Of course, that expression isn't always a positive one. Years ago, my daughter was swimming in the ocean, and as she came out of the water, she discovered that the waves had caused the front of her bathing suit to unsnap. I can imagine her expression of, "Oh, snap," was accompanied by an urgent need to re-snap. How many times have you been quietly minding your own business, caught up in a pleasant daydream, only to have someone snap at you saying, "Snap out of it"? Or how about the times when you've been working at your own pace, only to have someone tell you to make it snappy? Have you ever been to a poetry reading where the audience snapped their fingers instead of clapping? Well, that practice started back in the 50s when a popular coffee house was in the basement of an apartment building, and loud clapping disturbed the people who lived in the apartments upstairs. So the audience snapped their fingers instead of clapping. And snapping audiences still make me think of coffee houses and beatniks. I've seen soldiers snap to attention, and I've felt the sting of a rubber band that snapped back when it was stretched too far. I've eaten fried snapper, and I've had breadsticks that broke with a snap. I've watched football players snap the ball, and I once saw a magician snap his fingers and make a woman disappear. But my favorite snaps, by far, are those made to the beat of a catchy jazz tune. When I hear that snappy tune, I want to give it 2 snaps up in a circle. This is Carla Dean for Journey Writers Word of the Month.
We hope you have enjoyed Word of the Month presented by Journey Writers Incorporated. Our organization provides a safe, supportive space for writers and those who want to become writers to share their work and receive constructive feedback. For more information about Journey Writers, our twice-monthly workshops, and how you can participate in the Word of the Month, please visit our website at journeywriters.org. We'd love to hear from you. Word of the Month is made possible through a generous grant from the Betty Knox Foundation.
Each month, Journey Writers' Word of the Month airs exclusively on WQTQ-FM. On the show, we explore the changing way that we use words. We look at words that have had one meaning but are now being used in a different way. Using poetry, short stories, essays, and commentary, we share our thoughts about the language we use every day. We'd love to hear what you think. Do you have a comment you'd like to share about one of the words we've explored on Word of the Month? Maybe you've been thinking of a word you'd like us to explore. If so, please let us know. Or perhaps you've written a poem, short story, essay, commentary, or original song that you'd like to share. If so, we'd love to hear from you. Visit journeywriters.org and contact us at journeywriters@journeywriters.org. Tell us what you're thinking. Send us something you've written. Your words could be featured on a future edition of Word of the Month.